So what not to do if you're a new convert? I would say that in the majority of situations, you should not make any major life changes or major life decisions right away. You gotta wait until the dust settles. There's exceptions to this, but this, in my observation, is usually true, right? Because you gotta get settled into your identity. You gotta get settled into your practice. Your whole worldview is changing. And new information is coming to you so fast, you haven't really filtered it out or settled in for yourself. You have to realize that the zeal that you have now, it isn't always going to last, right? Um, and so when it comes to a major move, like an international move or even a national move, or cutting off like certain relationships or marriage, right? Or divorce or these sorts of things. Usually, I think that the best plan is to just kind of stay put and try to work on being a better person, trying to work on getting the basics down of Islamic practice and get the basics down of Islamic belief. Try to find who are your trusted mentors. This is a huge problem. Some people, they get in with a bad crew from the get-go, and the bad crew I'm talking about isn't some people who are out at the club smoking and drinking and these sorts of things. I'm talking about a bad crew of people who are giving very, very poor religious advice. Religious advice with no sense of tadarruj, of no sense of easing a person in, no sense of how to put a person on like a roadmap for success. So somebody becomes a Muslim, and now they've got friends who are telling them, well, you have to divorce your spouse, or you have to quit your job, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. Man, I would be afraid for those people on the day of judgment, because that is some serious stuff that you're telling. And yeah, I know you have your evidence and you have your quote ready, but it's not about that. It's about taqdeem wa ta'khir. It's about tadarruj. It's about easing a person in. And that's why, ideally, converts have qualified religious leadership to be able to refer back to and to go to, because somebody who's qualified as a religious leader is going to be able to tackle things in a way where you're setting first things first, priorities. First, work on this. Okay, you got this down, next, work on that. Okay, you got that down, next, work on that. And this is part of the sunnah, because in the hadith of Mu'adh, where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ sends Mu'adh to Yemen, he tells him what? You're going to a people from the people of the book. Call them to Tawheed, right? The Shahada. And then he says, if they submit to that, then you move on to calling them to pray. If they submit to that, then you call them to zakat. Right? So this is tadarruj. This is something where you have to put people on a roadmap for sustainable long-term success. You can't throw all of fiqh sunnah, or the whole fiqh of Islam on somebody right at once. It's not going to work. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't deal this way with the companions, right? He had tadarruj. He had years where he focused on aqidah, theology, and then he went on to the ahkam once they moved to Medina, and even that wasn't all in one go. It was bit by bit by bit. This is something recognized by the scholars and in classical texts about how, the situation of a convert is different. You don't treat a convert like you treat, your normal, even your normal relapsed Muslim, right? Because a relapsed Muslim usually has a sort of, some sort of groundwork, some sort of foundation, and they usually have a lot of family sort of supports, or they have relationships that they can kind of go to. A convert's a completely different story, right? So don't fall into these sorts of crews of people who are just telling you how you should live your life and telling, well, you got to make this major change and you got to make this major change. Be very careful about that. So that's general advice, and it doesn't always hold true, but it often does. Slow down. Don't make any major changes until you get settled in and you're comfortable with your new faith.